Now let's look at supply. Supply is an upward sloping curve. Why? As prices rise, the quantity supplied rises. As prices fall, the quantity supplied falls. So at $2, we have 11.6 billion pounds of coffee being supplied. Yet at 50 cents, you only have 8 billion pounds of coffee being supplied. Why? It's all based on profitability. These are businesses. And so suppliers, businesses, manufacturers, growers, people, products, companies that sell products to individuals or other businesses are only going to be willing to supply goods that are profitable. And so at 50 cents, less profitable, they're not willing to sell as many coffee beans. At $2, more profitable, they're more willing to sell their coffee beans. And so, because what's at play here are costs, and companies have fixed costs. And so once those fixed costs are covered, as they can charge more, they make more profit. And so at the higher price point, they're willing to supply more goods. And so if you have a change in supply, you have a shift to the right or a shift to the left. A shift to the right is a increase. And the reason in economics shifts are right or left and not up or down is for this reason. Because this looks like a decrease, but it is an increase. At more is being supplied, right? So right shift, increase, left shift, decrease. Change in quantity supplied versus change in supply. Change in quantity supplied is a movement on the supply curve, just like it's a movement on a demand curve. So at any given price, suppliers are willing to supply a certain amount of goods. When there's a price change, they'll go to the next level of supply, whether it's 1 million units, 2 million units, 3 million units, whatever it is that they're willing to supply based on the circumstances in the economy. All of those various amounts are set. And so it's a movement versus a shift. A shift, something has to change. More suppliers come into the marketplace. And other determinants of demand, which we'll look at next. These are all the determinants of demand. Prices, technology, expectations. You can look at those, and then we will look at them one by one. First, you have input prices. Input prices, think land, labor, capital. We learned about that in an earlier unit. Any of those are inputs. Those are costs. Those are things that companies have to produce or buy to be able to make a good. Orange juice, oranges, that's an input. Also, the pickers of the oranges, farm workers. Also, the delivery trucks, and then the people that drive the delivery trucks. Those are all inputs. And so, if any one of those prices of any input increases in price, you have a right shift. If any of these input prices fall, you have a left shift. So, because as these items fall in price, as inputs fall in price, the product becomes more profitable. Companies want to supply more. As these input prices rise, companies want to supply less. You have a left shift. Technology. The internet made us all much more productive. And so technology caused companies to not have to hire as many workers. Workers are a large cost. And so that's labor. And so technology made their workers more productive. You had a right shift. If there's a hurricane and a company's robots or other technology went down, you're going to have a left shift, for example. So technology improves, right shift. Technology degrades, left shift. Number of sellers. Obviously, if more companies are selling goods, supply is going to, the whole line shifts to the right. If sellers pull out of the market, supply shifts to the left based at every given price. Expectations. If a company thinks they can sell their goods for more money in the future, they're going to hold back goods now. If they think they're going to get more money now, they're going to try to dump those goods now. And so right shift, left shift. If you're going to sell now, you have a right shift. And if they're going to sell later, you're going to have a left shift. Subsidies. So if the government increases subsidies for farm products, farmers are more willing to sell goods because they know that they're going to get money from the government for every pound of corn, for example. There's going to be a right shift. If the government shuts off the spigot of subsidies, you end up with a left shift. And finally, equilibrium. This is where supply and demand meet. So at $1, companies are willing to supply 10 and people are willing to buy 10. This concludes our lesson in supply and demand.